Daily Bread, episode 37 with Sosa and Rex. We
Yeah,
got, I could
sir.
say a jam-packed episode. We got a special guest coming our way, so you just have to look at our two ugly mugs for a little bit. Sosa's going floating head today, so don't get tripped out by that. How you doing today? I don't like that Yankees hat, but other than that,
Oh man, I'm feeling all right, man. It's a nice day to get paid. Really excited about the show today. Special guest, a bookie killer, somebody that's been dominating. Uh, and we want the people to really get a chance to get in on the work that he's doing and just find out a little bit more about what he's been up to. We had him on the show before when you weren't here. But other than that, just right back to it, man. Yesterday was a good day. Today should be even better.
what's up, everyone? Thank you guys for tapping in. I hope you went well in AC. Dan playing hooky sounds like a great time. Getting to Vegas by the Sea is what I like to call it. But
Right.
yeah, live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure
Mhm.
to be tapping in with us. Let us know what you're playing today. Let us know what your locks are. What games do you have a question? We're going to probably get a lot of questions once we get our guest in here. Olympics. Katie Ledecky kind of just put the team, or not the team, she just swam her ass off the whole time.
Yeah.
Italy, Barrett covered. Not really much to say. USA just did what they needed to do finally.
Right. Shout out to Simone Biles. Hope she recovers well mentally from what's going on with her. The greatest gymnast, arguably the greatest Olympian America has ever produced. People really need to just put it like that, man. She's amazing, and whatever her situation might be, I saw a bunch of dickheads on the internet talking fucking stupid about a young lady who's basically used her body and pushed it to like the most extreme of circumstances, has had to deal with some of the craziest circumstances outside of the sport. So just I'm happy for her. I hope everything works out for her. And big ups to her, man. Mental health is a major thing. It's very important for all people, especially for athletes, people that we sometimes tend to look at as robots and not really as human beings. So it's just something that I wanted to make sure that I spoke on a little bit today, because, like I said, there's a bunch of fucking idiots on all over the internet that just have an opinion that's really fucking stupid. Like, you shouldn't even have an opinion on a 24-year-old young woman who has done more for her country than you ever did. You fucking clown. Okay, that's all I have to say about that.
No, 100% agree. Let's just stop retweeting them, stop clicking on their articles. Best way to get them to stop it.
Yeah, don't let these dickheads on the internet, take
So,
away from what she's already done.
so we had a solid day yesterday from the show. Let's
Yeah.
just get in right into today's. This is the Sosa plays, my plays, and then I know I will be influenced in a little bit of time. So Sosa, what are we starting off quickly on your
Man,
board?
early baseball. We fading J.A. Happ. You already know. I like the Detroit Tigers team total today. Over 4.5 runs, -114. I know they have kind of reverted back to the Detroit Tigers that we originally that we were riding them, and then they've come across hard times. I still like the lineup. I like the lineup against J.A. Happ. Maybe our special guest doesn't like J.A. Happ too. We don't know. So I personally like the play. Detroit team total over 4.5 at -106 actually is what the number is right now on my book. I like it. Early baseball, early cash. You know the deal.
Yep, 1 hour to that first pitch. Can't hate that there. And I like how you're going the team total route rather than the money line approach.
Or the
Sure,
over.
you're getting a little bit of plus money there, but the safer route seems to be
Detroit.
that way.
Detroit's actually +120 on the money line, and -154 at +1.5. But they have reverted back to their ways. Betting them to win right now would not be a good call. I would stay away from that. That's one play I like early baseball. Second play I like early baseball. Toronto Blue Jays.
7 inning game.
7-inning game. Over 4.5 against Garrett Richards. I'm rolling the dice on it. I like it. -106. It's well priced. It's good value. I'm fading Richards. I'm not a big fan of his, and I don't particularly like the way some of these starters perform at home. Pavetta was very lucky because, oh yeah, man, I was lying. Dan, it's funny as hell. Yeah, I'm lying, bro. I'm gonna bet him again. The offense is too good. Come on now, I'm not picking him to win. That's the mistake I think I made. I picked them to win a couple times, and they really just put a lead.
That was our thing. I told you, we warned you on the show. We bet the team total. We don't bet them to win.
Absolutely. So those are my two early baseball picks. Really want to get.
I got one play before we get our guest in
Let's
here.
get it. Let's get it. What do you like?
I guess it's a little bit early. Definitely early for your West Coast guys with the Oakland at the Padres. I'm going back, Sosa, but not to the A's here. You know what day it is? Blake Snell at home day. First five, money line, minus 120. The man has a .196 batting average against him at home. Oakland, they don't hit them that great. They don't hit lefties. I mean, they hit lefties all right, but they don't get over the total. So that's just kind of where first five money line, not going the full game. You can get that at minus 120. You can lay the run line at plus 115 if you're looking for plus money.
I got the
not getting involved full game. Just Snell at home always seems like a dime spot.
I got the first five money line on my book at minus 115. I like the play. It's hard for me to say positive things about the San Diego Padres. I fucking hate them. But this is a good spot. I do like that angle. I like that bet. And I'm gonna bet it with you, obviously.
Yes, sir. So
real quick, the guy, our special guest today, he's the spin doctor, Chris Gargaro. He's from Minnesota, basketball coach, extreme numbers genius, in my opinion. The analytics that he uses and the information that he uses and puts together is absolutely brilliant. He knows other sports too, but right now we're going to focus in on him dominating the books using K-prop unders. We brought him on the show before. We want to bring him in because he is the guy you guys want to, if you guys buy in picks or want like a edge, he's found one. So that's very, very important. Finding an edge. When you find an edge, and we're going to get to a couple more picks, but I really want to get him in here. So without further ado, the spin doctor himself, Chris Gargaro, would like to welcome him in.
Thank
today.
You.
My man, appreciate you for joining us. Chris, let the people know a little bit about yourself. If they're not familiar from the last time you were on, the floor is yours, my brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And thanks for having me on the first time, and glad to be back. So yeah, for those that don't know me, Minnesota, as you said, Sosa, and have been really a numbers and analytics guy my whole life. It's been in several previous lives, previous jobs. That was part of my job, was to forecast strings of large numbers, calls in a call center, number of contacts we would get, et cetera. And so some of the methods that I used and some of the analytics that I used, I just took that and replaced the numbers and data that I got from there and infused metrics from baseball, because statistics and forecasting don't really change whether you're doing K-props, whether you're doing number of calls you're going to get, whether you're doing the number of people that are going to come up to a traffic light. It doesn't really make a difference. The mathematical methods are still the same. So started doing this in early June, and just started playing around with it. I was actually looking back this morning, prepping for the show, and looking back at the first mathematical model that I used, and it seems so simplistic now, because now I look back and I'm like, man, I used like maybe 12 or 13 pieces of data to get a K-prop, and now I'm on like 26. So for one K-prop, and
that would explain all the fucking winning. That would.
So Chris, as someone who does like data just as much as you, when talking with you and seeing what you're working with, it's way more advanced than the stuff I like to get with the models. But my favorite thing is when you see those Twitter cappers out there with their models, it's just like them looking at a piece of fucking paper. So what he's doing is legit.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Rex, because one of the things that I try to do with my tout plays that I do every day, the one tout play, is always trying to give reasons why I'm not here to hate on anybody that posts pics or that touts pics on social media. And I'm not here to say that I'm anything more or less different, whatever, than they are. I'm just trying to be me. And with me, I was always a big show my work guy in math class. And so if I'm going to give you an answer, I'm going to tell you how I got there. And even if we lose, which thankfully lately has been rarely, but when we lose, there's always a reason behind it. One I want to talk about that unfortunately didn't hit, that I know a lot of people tailed me on last night, was Chris Paddock, which made me sick last night because the man has never thrown 100 pitches in his life. He comes up to bat in the 5th inning, and I think, oh, he's got 80 some pitches. Here we go. He's only got 5 Ks. I had 5.5, and they fucking hit him. And as soon as they did that, I'm like, I guarantee you he's going to strike out a batter. And just our luck, he strikes out the last guy on the last pitch he throws in the next inning and gets pulled. But my point being is I stand by my numbers. And if I had to go back in time and had to do it again and ran the same numbers with a different pitcher, I would do it all over again. And that's the other thing that I've always found that I see sometimes when, people are touting picks is like, this feels like a Phillies spot, or this feels like this guy. There's no feeling for me. I don't give a shit who these players are. Like, I don't have any personal relationship with them. I don't care what team wins. All I care about is, will the guy get under strikeouts? And so, the funny part is that I used to use spin a lot when tracking like who I'm going to play. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I really don't use it a ton anymore. And I use it if I'm trying to decide between a few guys for a tout play. The reason why is because spin has actually leveled off for these guys. So batters and pitchers have adjusted to the new normal. And so it's a factor to look at. But if you're just going to use spin and say, okay, like this guy's on the spin list, so I'm going to bet him to be under. Well, you could have done that for any number of pitchers. Hell, Max Scherzer, you could have done that and you would have lost damn near every bet. So spin is one piece of the puzzle. And now that spin's leveling off and pitchers have adjusted, hitters have adjusted to what the new spin is, now you got to look for other ways to find a deeper edge. And that's why my model has increased from, like I said, 12 or 13 pieces of data to like almost 30. I think by the end of
the trend, don't be joining on the trend is essentially what you said there.
Yep, exactly. So, like Sosa mentioned, basketball, born and raised, basketball family. I'm 6'4", and I'm the shortest male in my immediate family. My brother's 6'10", played college ball. My dad's 6'8", and so we're a huge basketball family. But more so than basketball, like I mentioned, is I'm a numbers and analytics guy. And I don't care what sport it is. I don't care if it's table tennis. If I find an edge that I can cap and analyze and use mathematical models, I'm going to do it. And so, while right now the only thing that I do is K-props, as NFL season comes closer, already been working on models for props for that, already been working on models for other sports. So this is just the beginning.
Yes, sir. You see that and that's another thing I wanted to really get into as well, is that when you do show elite numbers in something, people immediately try to equate that with you being a one-trick pony and only being able to do one thing. But with knowing numbers, you don't at times even need to know the sport. The fact that you have knowledge of other sports to go with the numbers is what allows us to trust you when making decisions in any sport, right? Because the numbers and the mathematics back it up. So that's something that I'm glad you said, because people are we call you the spin doctor, and people are immediately gonna say, oh, this dude only knows baseball or really knows K-props. But that's it's very important to never get placed in one box or be seen as someone who lacks versatility in capping sports.
I love how he talked about his one loser and not his winners from last night. You never hear someone come on here saying I have a service and talking about his one L. So the humble own the L's. He's got it. It's everything you need in a capper.
I told you guys before, the only win percentage that I'll ever be happy with is 100. And if we're not at 100, then it means we got to work harder the next day.
Always work to do. I love that.
Yep. But no, you brought up a good point, Sosa, with knowing the sport versus knowing the numbers. And when you're looking at something like K props, or I would even say going into football, like receiving yards, rushing yards, passing yards, etc., is that it probably helps you a little bit more if you're not if you don't have a passionate, like heartfelt tie to it. So like, for example, I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I'm a huge Buccaneers fan, have been since I was a kid, world champs, about to defend our title. But,
you're a Bucs fan, huh?
I would, I would not do well just capping Buck stuff every single week, just because there's a heartstring attached to it. Right. But if I'm forecasting, how many rushing yards Joe Mixon is going to have, I know Joe Mixon, but I don't have a tie to the Bengals. So I'm just going to go straight numbers. It's the same reason, so Rex, I'll talk about two of my winners last night, Urias and my tout play, Matt Moore. Don't know them. Don't care about their teams. No offense, Sosa, and no offense, Rex. But it's funny. It's both your teams.
Right.
But, don't really care one way or the other. They were numbers on a spreadsheet, looked at it, the numbers said bet it, so I bet it. And what I keep telling people is, I have people DM me that are like, oh man, that's my team and you're, fading them. And I'm like, I ain't fading your team. I'm like, I said it in one of the other chats we got going after Urias got pulled. I'm like, the Dodgers can win by a fucking 100 right now. I don't care. Like, all I care about is that Urias gets under 6 Ks. That's it. Period.
Right. And that's the key, man. We appreciate the focus and like I said, the attention to the details. Like you've been on fire recently, and I've made plenty of money off of your picks, so I'm glad. We need more people to get in on it. So if y'all aren't already following ACG2X, check him out on Twitter. For information on his plays, he'll take care of you really well. I mean, like I said, I'm subscribing to anything he says because the numbers support it. If you guys are looking for someone who caps baseball, it's right there in front of you on his Twitter page. There's always, some people crying about transparency, or in reality, they're just fucking nosy. But again, you're as transparent as they come. All the information is right there to be seen.
Yep. And that's actually, thank you. That's actually a good segue, because not only do I have all my tout picks that are posted on my Twitter page in order, I also have every play that I've made since June 3rd, which is when I started this, logged, cataloged, documented on a spreadsheet, wins, losses, streaks. I have, it's funny, a lot of the metrics that I use to cap, I use to track myself. So like standard deviation, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And what I also have is, as I go into kind of the next topic about the service stuff we were talking about, I have betting tickets for every single play that's on here. So what I always tell people is we win and we lose together. I will never send out a play that I don't have some kind of backing behind. And I will be able to prove that to you every single time. So, I see that again a lot on gambling Twitter about, just throwing out plays. And then you kind of wonder, like, is this person invested in this, or are they just throwing stuff out? And I will tell you that every single one that's on here, and anybody who wants to see it, you can see it, is that there is a correlating betting ticket to go along with it. And so, complete and total transparency. And like you said, Rex, is that I remember my losers way more than I do my winners. Because I always 100. Go back and think about, could I have done anything different? Could I, the only thing I could have done last night is call the Padres dugout and tell them to fucking pull Paddock, but that's a different story.
You just needed that leadoff guy not to get on, because they just used him to sack bunt.
I know.
If he gets out, you're good.
I know.
They had someone else on deck.
As soon as he got on, that's the first thing I said was, I'm like, I'm screwed, because I know the progression. It's sack bunt, pitch next inning, strike a guy out. L.
Can you tell Rex had his money on it? He literally told you like every play.
I watch it, man. If I'm invested in the game too, just like Chris, I'm watching it. I got the ticket. I got to know. So I'm thinking, if you want to talk about your service a little bit more, so we can get into the plays.
Yeah, for sure. So, so on my tout plays, which are all posted on Twitter, we're running at 68.5% right now, and up almost 17 units. And then for all plays, as of this morning, 60, 33, and 1, up just over 22 units. So, depending on what your amount that you're betting on is for a unit. If you're betting $500 a unit, you'd be up following just this system and nothing else. You'd be up over 11 grand. If you were betting $1,000 a unit, you'd be up just under 23 grand. So, and that's since June 3rd. So that's in less than 2 months.
That's a new car.
Yeah. So, yeah. So last week, what I started doing is I would always send out the one tout play per day. But what I would also, I obviously played more K props and logged them. But what I started doing is I started saying anybody who retweets the tout play, which thank you to everybody who's done it, because I know there's some that have done it religiously, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, including you two guys. Anybody, I did that to just gauge, was there interest in a whole card of just under K props? Because when you think about an MLB card, I see a lot of, and mind you, really, really good cappers out there, the ones that I respect, including the ones that I'm on this show with, that, send out a card, but it has first 5, full game, over, under. And my initial thought was, I'm like, well, I'm just doing one kind of bet. I'm just doing K props. But then on the other hand, I'm like, but the shit cash is like crazy. So then that was kind of like my test to see, is there interest in having this on a regular basis? And the result was an overwhelming yes. So on August 1st, you'll see some changes to my Twitter page. There's going to be a new handle, and it's going to be referencing the nickname that you guys, that Rex and Sosa have been so kind as to give me. And then, so I will always post one tout play per day. There'll always be one free tout play per day. That is usually my best play. So when I go through all the advantages, all the stuff, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, you must pick one play to put all your money on, that is usually the tout play. So just so you guys know that, that is almost always what I will post as a tout play. Now, I usually play between 3 to 5 other under K props per day. And what I'm going to launch is a service where and I'm going to make this very reasonable for people, is that they can get it on a day, they can get it for a week, they can get it for a whole month. I'm going to have special deals for the rest of the MLB season. I also want to give special deals to anybody that's been riding with me so far. I'm always a big fan of never forget where you came from. And so anybody that has up until this point that has retweeted those tout picks, that has gone through all this, liking my post, interacting with me, there will be something special for you guys. So if you wanted any details about that, and I'll be posting more about this, definitely send me a DM and we can have a conversation about it. But starting August 1st. So for the rest of the month, though, I will do what I've been doing up to this point, which is one tout play per day. If you retweet it, I'll send you the full card. And what I always do then too with the K props is, for those that have retweeted, there is 1 or 2, sometimes 3, called if you want to gamble plays. And so those are ones where when I factor it in, it's got a smaller advantage, but still an advantage. And it's always at minus 105 or actually minus 110 or better, usually plus odds. So those are ones where I'll tell you, hey, like last night with Brett Anderson, I'm like, it's a lean only, but it's a plus money thing. There's a small advantage. You can play it if you want, put it in a parlay. And again, I will always be transparent with all of that. So you'll get anywhere from 3 to 5 extra plays per day. You'll also get the if you want to gamble ones. And then what I also like is, because I'm a numbers guy and I study this stuff so extensively, is there are numerous articles, things that I've studied, read, a couple of things that I've actually even started writing up about correlation between spin and stuff. There are certain parts of that I would love to share with you guys and have discussions about. So with a membership, you get all of that.
All right. So make sure anybody who's following us is following Chris, and also make sure you guys DM him in regards to that. we're living testaments of him knowing what he's saying. He's won me a shit ton of money, so I have no, like that. That's how I originally started following you. Like I would look at your charts and not know what the fuck they even meant, and just whatever you said to bet, I would just bet. So, like I said, just make sure you guys tap in with Chris. I'm grateful to have met you, man. You've definitely helped me get sharper, and I think that's something that we all need, especially in this. It's I'm never one to like see someone doing well and be like, oh man, he's my competition or anything sort of that. I try to observe and try to gain another level of knowledge to make me better at what I do, which is why we want you on the show. We enjoy, the conversation and just, the analysis. Like some people they die for that. Oh man, we want the numbers. And I'm a numbers guy, but obviously not to the extent you are. You're a genius. So I'm a genius too, but not with the numbers.
No, I've always learned that when it's something that you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work and it doesn't feel like a job. Like it's fun, so I love breaking down a K-prop card. And it's funny because, my family likes what it's done financially sometimes for us. But, I start talking to my family about, I'm like, this team's O swing and Z swing and all these advanced metrics. And, they're like, did you win or not? Like, and that's fine. But, I start being the biggest numbers nerd whenever you start talking about stats. And, I followed this as the great philosopher Jay-Z said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, man. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And so if it's there in black and white on paper, again, I don't care who the pitcher is. I don't care who the team is. If it says bet, I'm betting.
You already know. So yeah, also before we move on, obviously the people want to play if you got one. Okay. Secondly, yeah, we'll get into that. You got any more plays for the people today, Brex? Because I got a couple more that I like since we've been here. I've been like looking at.
No, I was just saying we should just go through our usual flow right now. Let Chris give out his however many plays he wants, and then if people have questions on the games, they can bounce it off all three of us because we're in this together to beat the book.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for K-prop math, for those that have followed me for a long time, what you guys already know is two things. One is for night games, I typically wait until umpires are released unless there's such a massive statistical advantage, it won't matter. Umpires can have anywhere from a 10% to 12% increase or decrease in the number of strikeouts that a starting pitcher has based on their consistency, accuracy, whatever of the strike zone. There's a whole bunch of math behind that I won't bore you with now. But and then the other thing is I have put a moratorium on capping under props for weekday day games. And I've done that because of the hit to my wallet that they've taken. And the reason why is because there's just too much variance with them. So I know before I joined, you guys were talking about Hap, and I do have some statistical analysis on Hap. Is that he's old and sucks and can't pitch, and he pitches for my Twins, so fade him. There's my expert analysis on Hap. I shy away from under props during weekday day games just because hitters and just players in general are creatures of habit, and 12:30 p.m. game on a Wednesday is not normal. And so you see routines and things change. And so the math and numbers and analytics that I use, you got to make a lot of adjustments for it. So there's a lot of volatility. And, as fun as it would be to play like 13K props a day and have all this action going. And, I say that for people on Twitter about, 27 unit GOAT play of the decade. I don't even touch that shit. Every play is 1 unit or a half unit. We have steady gains, steady returns going up. And I try not to play things that have that much volatility. So, unfortunately, I don't really have much for the weekday day games.
For sure.
The whale max. Christ.
With four X's.
Yeah. So no, but for the night games, a couple guys that are popping for me right now that you might hear about a little bit later. Max Fried is one. He's at the Mets tonight. He has less than a 25% K rate lifetime against them. Mets are only K'ing less than 19% at home against lefties since the All-Star break. And the other thing, just to kind of give you guys a hint of some of the other advanced metrics that I work into my model now, is CSW rate. So for those that don't know, CSW rate is called strikes plus whiff. And that is when you factor it into an equation, it's a strong metric to determine how much a team is going to potentially strike out. The Mets are first in Major League Baseball since July 1st in CSW rate, and not by a little. So what all of that tells me is that there is I would say right now, without factoring in umpires, there's probably at least a 60 to 65% chance that Fried does not go over 5.5. It's at plus money right now. I'm guessing it's going to be bet down. If you want to take it right now, you can. But for night games, I'm always going to wait for the umpire, because one of the other things that I look at is if it's a pitcher that throws a certain mix of pitches that a pitcher's umpire is going to call a lot of extra strikes on, it might take me away from it. But if you're looking for something early and you want to bet it right now, Fried is popping at me right now. A couple other ones that are looking decent that I'm going to run some advanced analytics on would be Madison Baumgartner. He's popping right now. Texas is only at 21% K rate against righties at home since the All-Star break. And then Patrick Corbin would be another one. Phillies don't K much against lefties to begin with, and they also walk a lot. And that's something else that I factor into my model is how much a team walks, because every time that a hitter walks, the pitcher throws a lot more pitches, and it jacks up his pitch count, and B is it puts guys on base, which can lead to runs, which leads to a pitcher getting taken out. So those would be the three that I would probably recommend at least taking a look at for the night games. But again, I'm going to wait on all my plays until the umpires come out to confirm.
Appreciate the insight. You already know. Trying to think. You got anything else for him, Rex, as far as plays?
The only play that I was potentially looking at today that I wanted to run by you, Sosa, and since Chris is here, run it by him now. I mean, it's a money line play, so the Orioles look like they're going back to their bad streaking ways. They're on that 3-game L right now. Think it's a nice time to back the fish. I just hate that Holloway hasn't pitched in over like a month and a half.
For me, personally, it's a stay away, man. It's a stay away for me. They got me yesterday. We done. I don't want to go back-to-back days betting on bad teams.
No, the Fish have won 3 in a row. Sorry, the Orioles aren't streaking yet, but riding the hot team, that's where I know once a team gets to 3 dubs, it's usually profitable to back them. I just don't want to do it at the Fish at that price, but it seems that was like the one play that's being left off my card today.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I don't really have a take on the game. I can tell you that on initial math, Lopez popped as a potential under candidate. The Marlins are only they're striking out only 22% on the road versus righties, which is good, but they're also only walking 6% of the time. So when I look at control pitcher, Lopez can be a little wild, so that does factor in. But the Marlins also have a very, very low contact rate for pitches outside of the zone. So that's probably one I'm just going to stay off of. If we get a good ump, I might recommend it as a half unit play. I highly doubt it would ever be a tout. So I think if you're going to bet that game, then Rex, like you said, that's the side to back.
All right, that's
Giants money line. You want to talk about your Dodgers? Sosa?
No, I'm just playing. Oh, man. First of all, the Dodgers run line tonight is the play.
That's the play every night.
Yeah, like you want me to lie? I'm rocking with him again, man. What the fuck? This dude, Walker Buehler should be like this. We're sick right now. I mean, he went 7 strong last game. Probably should just left him in the fucking game, to be honest with you. At that point, they should just left him in. Kenley Jansen came in and tricked it the fuck off. It's a system play. Exactly. You do it every day. The only way the system works is if you bet it every day. Now, it's not 38 units. But, that's funny as shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I guess, Chris, this is a good way to wrap up the baseball slate before we get into some hoops. Kim, dude's been on fire. You just gave out some great stats on Lopez I wasn't expecting. So what have you seen from Kim? Because I think he's gone 7 Ks, 1 K, and then 7 Ks in his past 3. So
and right now he's the Nerfy king.
Yep. So that's a day game too. So didn't do full capping behind it. However, I would agree with your assessment is that he was a guy early in the year that I would look like he's one of the guys that I would look to first for backing for under props just because he's got such a low chase and whiff rate. But lately, I mean, he burned me once and I just have not even gone back to him. So yeah, he's been, I don't know what he changed, honestly. That's something usually I can research and find out those little tidbits of information. I don't know what he changed, but he is making guys miss right now. So even if it was a night game, I still don't think that I would even look at him for an under.
I could just be misremembering, but I feel like post All-Star break or later towards halfway through the season last year too, he struggled to start and then he just kicks it into a second gear.
Very, very possible.
All right. Draft. 2 days away. I mean, we brought in a hoops coach, so we can't not talk about what's coming up this Thursday. I know we'll have a show tomorrow with some picks. We may give out some picks today. I sent you a tweet. I was hoping to get you pissed off last night where people are suggesting Sharif Cooper over 20.5 is one of their best plays. I don't know if you want to start anywhere, Sosa, or do you want to just give it right to Chris?
I'm gonna say something real quick. I was on Spaces yesterday, and I learned 2 things. People from Canada are weird. Secondly, I heard someone say this exact words. Y'all overvalue number 1 overall picks. Apparently NBA teams do too, you fucking moron. They lost to get it, you dickhead. How fucking dumb does that even sound? They overvalue first-round picks or first overall picks, but they tried to lose to get them. Are you fucking stupid? That doesn't even make a shred of fucking sense. You overvalue the first pick, right? But teams actively fucking lost to get it.
All I have to say, Sosa, is if you're in a chat with a bunch of people from Canada, they're probably pretty salty the Raptors didn't end up getting number 1. So this is their spin cycle that they're putting on our spin zone to make them feel better about it.
I guess it was a Spaces thing though, bro. Like, because I swear, I mean, it was like literally 80 people in there.
And these just weren't people with 10 followers. These were like some legit names. I saw that Spaces yesterday.
Yeah, they were there, and they were telling me that Jalen Suggs was D Wade, and I'm like, what brand of crack are you smoking? Like, what are you talking about?
Hey! I watched Jalen Suggs in high school. I've met the guy. I watched him play multiple times. He went to high school in Minnesota.
Mr. Football. When he Mr. Football in Minnesota, could have gone to Ohio State and played quarterback.
Yes. I sat 3 feet from him and watched him play. I'm like, he's not Dwayne Wade. He's a great kid. He's got some skill. I think he'll be a serviceable NBA player, but he's not Dwayne Wade. Stop that.
I think he's good, but again, like, bro, that's what I swear to God. They said that yesterday, and I was just listening like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like what? Like the only time I thought of D Wade when I saw Jalen Suggs is when he jumped on the thing after hitting a game winner. That's the only comparison you could possibly have to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade hit a game winner and jumped on the scores table. That's the only Jalen Suggs comparison I want to even fucking hear.
Iguodala did it too.
Yeah, I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, bro, like they're morons, bro. But
all right, let's get into the draft.
I got two quick takes on this draft. Cade Cunningham, I do believe I don't use the word generational a lot. when I see him, man, and I see him do interviews, I hear him speak, learn a little bit about him, a little more about him. I love him. I think that there are people on the internet that don't like him, and people just saying a lot of outlandish shit. I think the kid's going to be dynamite in the NBA. He got the right mindset. He's a worker. He's athletic enough, and the IQ and acumen is there. I love his game. I think that anyone on the internet saying that Cade's not going to pan out need to go watch some more basketball and shut the fuck up. And other than that, I'm a big Sharif Cooper guy. I think obviously I'm an eye test guy. If you know the game, you know he's probably the second best pick and roll point guard in this entire draft. So you can say whatever you want about the kid. He's off the charts when it comes to basketball IQ.
What we're doing later today.
And knowing the game. So that's the those are two things that I like. And then I see a lot of people. I like that he's brought that up. Listen, Luka Garza fucking stinks. Okay, he is what we refer to as a relic. Players like him no longer exist in the NBA.
He would have been good in like 2002.
He'd have been good in like 1992. But now he does not fit today's game. I don't care if he added a jump shot. He's slow as fuck. He's got feet made of cement. I could see, bro. He was projected as at 60 3 weeks ago. Come on, man, cut that shit out.
So one thing before we let Chris go, we had a question about Giddey yesterday on our show. He went from plus 110 to being the top 10 picks. He's all the way now at minus 205.
And
he's
whatever
someone in a day on DraftKings that the odds has shifted over like 115
they called him Christian Laettner with a Drake playlist. That's fucking great. Hey man, listen. With the Giddey thing, and this is my last thing with before I let Chris have the floor. Listen, whatever team he fucking scams into being a top 10 pick should smack the shit out of themselves. And I'm all for international players, and that's cool. That's cool. But come on, man, like the fuck out of here. All right, your turn, Chris. My bad. That's my take. That's my take on Josh Giddey. Like, please get the fuck out of my face with anything you could possibly tell me about him. Like, no.
Yeah, no. So first off, I will concur. Cade Cunningham is the number one pick. He is not anywhere you slice it. If you look at this draft and you look at who has the potential to blow up and be a superstar in this league out of any of the guys that could be drafted, it's Cade Cunningham, period. I don't want to hear anybody else. There's one thing about the NBA, and to your point, Sosa, this is why people lose and tank so hard to get number one picks, is that in most drafts, okay, so you take away like the LeBron draft where it was like him and Wade and Bosch and, like 10 All-Stars.
Melo and
that's the exception.
Once in a lifetime type of deal.
In most drafts, there are 2, maybe 3, if you're lucky, guys that come out and are just generational players that help a team. So you have such a small window for error that why would you not want to try to help yourself if you're not making the playoffs and get the number one pick? Rosters, generational talent like that and talent that can just help guys win games is very, very, it's much rarer in the NBA. And I also believe too, that it's because, so you look at who's on the floor at a time. There's 5 guys on the floor at a time. In a baseball team, there's 9. On a football team, there's 11, so on and so forth. So you only have 5 guys that you can put on the floor and probably 5 or 6 other guys on your bench that can help you win games. So the talent pool just grew smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's Cade Cunningham, period. Other takes, yeah, I would agree that, Jalen Suggs, I think, will be a serviceable starting point guard in the NBA. I do think that, I think he had a great year at Gonzaga. I think that Mark Few was the right coach for him. I actually met Mark Few when he came out to scout Jalen Suggs. By the way, if anybody ever gets a chance, Mark Few is the nicest head coach I have ever talked to in my life. He is so humble.
Nice dude.
Oh my God. He is an incredible human being. And and even stopped scouting Jalen so that he could talk to all the kids that wanted to come up to him and sign autographs and pictures. And so anyways, Mark Few, great person. Another one that I saw a couple mocks have that I think is an interesting pick is Duarte to the Warriors at 14. And so, when you put his pure shooting ability on that team and you're trying to make one more run with Steph and with Dre, whatever.
Dre and Clay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, I can see that pick easily.
Like Duarte. I like Duarte, but you know who I really like? The other kid, Juzang. He was their best player in the NCAA tournament. Johnny was. You talk about a guy who really held himself. I get Duarte, from what I'm hearing, he works out really well. The workouts have gone really, really well, and that's the difference right now. It's a lot of guys like Cade Cunningham only worked out for one team. He didn't go work out for a bunch of teams, but Duarte does. I like that pick with for them. The guy, listen, the kid, I've spoke on him a couple of times. The kid that's the biggest wild card in this draft is Nashawn Highland from VCU. I'm telling, if you know the game, y'all can write it down now. Said Sosa put you on, said Rex put you on, because Rex is fully familiar with the kid. He is going to be something special in the league. He's going to play at a high level. He's got in the gym range. He's easily the best shooter in this entire draft. Easily. Best shooter in the entire NBA draft. Nashawn Highland, Bones Highland from VCU. He is the best perimeter shooter in this entire draft. The way the NBA is trending, he is a perfect player for whomever drafts him because he has in the gym range. If Desmond Bane got drafted as high as he did, this kid is 10 times better than Desmond Bane.
And you can get it under 28.5 right now.
And I think he's going to be a top 20 pick. I believe he'll be a top 20 pick. I believe Houston on one of those late first rounders, Oklahoma City, I even Philly, even the Sixers. Like if he falls to the Sixers have to draft me from Wilmington, Delaware. All he does is work out at the Sixers facility. I know this because my boy runs his developmental camp, Czech Rock Media. Check them out. Actually, Czech Rock, they're a great developmental camp for young kids. There's so much talent coming out of the state of Delaware. It's insane.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point, Sosa, and when you talk about the way the NBA is trending, when you go through mock drafts and you look at the draft pool, how many pure centers do you see? One, the guy from Turkey. That's it.
Yeah,
maybe.
And he can shoot. So and
yeah.
like that, yeah. So,
and I know that I know they got Mobley listed as a center. He's more of like a stretch center.
He's a 4. He's a 4.
He's not a pure. He's not a pure
5.
No,
but he might, but he's a 5 in today's game, right? Because So I guess that makes sense, right? I mean, small ball has made such a big deal, and then like you said, the way the game's trending, it's just high pick and roll, get a switch, and big men are becoming more obsolete because they can't move their feet when they get into switches with guards.
Yep. And then on the offensive side, I mean, this is the coach in me that I teach my kids all the time in AAU is space the floor, because when you space the floor, you make yourself infinitely harder to guard. And so, I do examples all the time at practice where if you got two offensive players that are standing on top of each other, I, as a defender, can just go like this and spread my arms and I can guard both of you. So same premise in the NBA is that if you got a big traditional plotting center that is just going to go stand and go block to block, he doesn't do you much good in today's NBA because of the slashing game that you talked about. So,
one other center that I was able to find is Keita from Utah State. He's in the draft as well.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, but again, he's a developmental. He's getting drafted on nothing but ceiling because he's still a raw project. He just happens to be big. So I don't think he'll ever be a highly productive, even bench player. I think he's going to be just an NBA player for 10 years because he's tall, like DJ Benga.
You brought it up about Garza too. He's big.
You just can't move. Yeah,
no, and if you're not hyper athletic and you can't step out to the perimeter and you can't take guys off the bounce in the NBA or guard the perimeter, then there's backup or third string center is probably your top out in the NBA.
You see the two best centers in basketball is Joel and Jokic, and they can triple threat from 30 feet and do everything.
Yep.
So that just showed, like you said, the game's trending, and I've always been understanding that spacing even more now was put at a premium with those because of those Warrior teams, because those Warrior teams taught you and showed you how to play 4-out basketball. So
one last player you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up? We can keep going, but Sosa, we kind of have to address the elephant in the room here. Scotty Barnes. How do we feel about him? He's gotten some bad comparisons because we know who we're talking about the comparisons to, because I think Barnes has a little bit more of the shooting game, obviously, but let's talk Scotty.
Man, listen, you want my real opinion?
Yeah.
He's a 2-pack of ass.
I don't want your fake opinion.
You want my truth? Scotty Barnes, a 2-pack of ass. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Tracking him, Dan.
Not a fan. Not a fan at all. One thing I'll give him is this. He's got the NBA body and he can defend. Right? So, those two things are cool, but like his offensive game, maybe, a lot of people say it's, they maybe it didn't fit the system. Who knows? But I'm not high on Scotty Barnes. I think he fucking stinks.
Because he's under 5.5 at -400. What's up, Chris?
He's going to go in the top 6, but he's still ass.
No, I think that there will be a place for him on NBA rosters, but probably not as high as he'll be drafted. Especially when you're talking about a guy that only shot like less than 30% from 3 last year.
He's attempting them though. He's attempting them. You have to give him that type of credit because that extends the offense out. When you don't attempt them, it's a lot easier to play defense.
Hey, are you
shot a lot of them?
Are you taking shots at Ben Simmons on a Wednesday?
No, I'm just saying that Scotty Barnes. I like his game. I don't think he's an a 5-time, 6-time All-Star. I think he could potentially crack it once or twice. I do like his game. I think there's a lot to build on. Gilchrist, I like that combo.
Yo, that's a perfect. Only thing is that like no one could have an uglier jumper than Kid Gilchrist. So like the comparison kind of ends there because he has the ugliest jumper in the history of basketball.
Yeah, Kid Gilchrist. Oh my God, just watching that jumper was painful.
Another 2-pack of ass. But yeah, that's as far as Scotty Barnes, man, you can keep him. Who the last player to come out of Florida State that was good in basketball?
We got
Charlie Ward, man.
Jonathan Isaac went there, but he got hurt. Who else?
Riley, we got 2 Sixers fans here. We don't take shots at Simmons. We just beat around the bush at it to really hide our feelings.
He said Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward fucking played quarterback. Who was the last guy from Florida State? I'm trying to look it up. Because I know it was somebody recently that was good, right?
We're going to feel so dumb when we don't think of it.
Patrick Williams went there?
I can't think of it.
Yeah, Patrick Williams last year went 4th to the Bulls. Malik Beasley,
Terrence Mann was the guy that was on. I know he's not great, but he was the one that was just like there's a very
the last NBA player who had a prolonged career from Florida State was Al Thornton.
Sam Cassell?
I'm not trying to go all the way back to the early 90s. Jesus Christ. Bob Sura. He was nice. He was good.
I gotta give it up for Sam Cassell. He took my Wolves to the Western Conference Finals. That's the farthest we've ever been.
You talking about that one year where they got an old ass Cassell, and that was a season when Sprewell could barely feed his family over with $8.5 million.
That was the year afterwards. Yeah,
next year.
Yeah, that was Garnett's MVP year, 2005.
For sure. But yeah, man, that's all I got for the people today. I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys.
We're glad to hear your insight. Make sure you guys follow him and lock in with him for those K under props. You heard the numbers. We don't need to go over them again. They're insane. Fuck with him. Rex, appreciate you, man. Another day, another dollar. Let's get paid today, my boy.
Yes, sir. Live later tonight for football. Slide into Chris's DMs for the prices. Other than that, we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.